Hey everybody, what's going on? It's your boy Flavio, and you guys are tuned back in once again to the House of Collectibles. Thank you guys for returning. If you guys are already subscribed to the channel, if you guys are new to the channel, please, why don't you hit the subscribe button? I'm actually seeing some analytics over on the creator tool for YouTube, and I'm actually seeing that a lot of my viewers are still yet to be subscribed. So if you guys are already watching, please do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. It helps the channel immensely, and we are on the road to 500, so please help me out in completing that challenge for myself. I just want to say I am super excited to freaking unbox this figure. We've unboxed a lot of figures on this channel already, but this is the first of its kind, and it is none other than the Feral Predator from the Prey movie. Guys, I am just so excited. I want to make this video for you guys, but it is itching me to get this freaking figure out of the box and just start playing with it. I cannot wait to get it in the collection. As you guys can tell already, the box art looks fantastic. We'll get a little bit further into that here in a second. But once again, this is none other than TMS114 Feral Predator from the Prey movie that was exclusively released on Hulu. So, without further ado, guys, let's get this figure out of the box. Guys, I know I'm not the only one here, but when this figure was announced, we all lost it. All the collectors have been wanting Hot Toys to revisit the Predator and the Alien lines, and within the past couple years, they've done that, and even the Terminators as well. There are so many figures that they have announced, and they haven't gone back to the well, but this is the one that broke the seal, guys. I'm very happy the way that the Prey movie did. I thought people received it very well from the time span of the IP, and they killed it. I mean, it went straight to the house. You know, it wasn't released in theaters. You could stream it on Hulu, and I thought that was a very smart choice, you know, by 20th Century Studios and the people that made the movie. They did a fantastic job. I loved the movie, and it really won me back for the series. So when this thing was announced, I was losing it. I was like, I gotta have this figure, guys. I gotta have, you know, a Predator and an Alien in my collection eventually. It's always fun, you know, to collect the big three, Marvel, DC, and Star Wars, of course. But when something that is so different and so tantalizing and so cool, it's just awesome, and you gotta pick it up. Hot Toys killed it. I love Predators. I've always loved Predators. I remember watching, you know, the classic movies with my father growing up as a kid. They were always on in the house, you know, those and, you know, the Alien movies. Sci-fi was a very big thing in the household. So I was very aware of what a Predator was early on. And, you know, just growing up and them finally making a Prey movie, you know, for this generation, you could say, was just amazing. And it was very cool to see them, you know, revisit that. So when Hot Toys announced this, I knew I definitely wanted to get it. But anyways, enough gushing about the movie and about the figure that we're about to see, because I cannot wait. Like I told you before, guys, this box is amazing. Hot Toys has, you know, done so well with this box art here. There's so many different, you know, feelings at hand here. You got smooth patterns, textures here. You have rough textures here. You have a nice image here, or kind of like a rendering of the biomask here for the Feral Predator up front. And you guys can see that his tracker there is lit up, so I really love that. This is all scratchy, rough texture here, and you got splatters of green blood all around up here in the corner as well, and that is also done in kind of a rough texture. No, it's actually smooth here. You got a rough texture around the side here for these lines though, so there's kind of like this scratching, you know, effect here on the box. That is all textured. You got the movie title up front here right above the biomask, 20th Century Studio PREY, and I really love kind of the claw marks going through all of the letters. I never really took notice of that when I was watching the film on Hulu, but I can see that now, and that really works for me. Down below here, you have Feral Predator, and this is done kind of in a textured pattern as well, but a nice high gloss over that. TMS114 1/6 scale collectible figures, and the people to do it, none other than Hot Toys, the best in the game for me, as I always say. Flipping it over here though, you guys can see just more of that blood splatter just going all over, and this is kind of in a nice glossy you know, feel to it here, but you can feel the blood. It's kind of like raised as well. And then you have the Feral Predator again and the release number here. I don't know what this is back here. It's very hard to tell. I believe it's kind of like some terrain or foliage of some sort like that, if I'm not mistaken. But back here, once again, you guys can see more blood splatter in the corner, and I love the slime green color. Green is my favorite color, so it just being their blood color is just awesome. You guys can see all the legal and warning information and who done it. This is all done in a nice scratchy texture as well, and on the side of the boxes here, it is nice and smooth. You do have the official insignia and seal of authenticity as well for Hot Toys. So here on the other side, more blood splatter, more Feral Predator, and I just love the color of the box. This nice brown earthy tone is really working for me. But yet again, down below here, as you guys can see, we have the inner box here, and you guys have kind of that it's kind of that like texture or pattern that the Predator uses when he puts his cloak on. So it's kind of that hexagonal pattern here. And in front of that, you have, very proud, in front, the movie logo, once again, PREY, done by 20th Century Studios. So I really like that. And once again, up top, a better, smaller kind of logo here, but you have the PREY logo done in a nice high gloss with the cloak in the background there. Very cool. Feral Predator, and this is also done in a gloss and done in gray. So now that we have taken a look at the box all over, let's get the slip cover off and see what the inner box looks like. Amazing, absolutely amazing, guys. You guys have a nice window here so you guys can see the figure within and all of the accessories, but the inner box still has a ton of artwork all over. As you guys can see, they continue here with a nice brown colorway here, and you guys can see all of the stuff that we've already seen here with the cloak pattern all around the box. And you got more Feral Predator. I really love Hot Toys' art boxes, guys. I don't know about you guys. I know some collectors in the community throw their boxes away. You guys are much stronger than me because I could never, especially with something like this, a release that is, you know, very, very memorable and will be memorable later down the road. I just gotta have all my boxes. Here again, though, on the back, though, you guys can see a beautiful, beautiful artwork of the figure. This is actually the figure itself, and I do believe this is the prototype here, just because I am seeing the ab break here, and there was a joint originally in the body here, and there was an unsightly seam there, but they have yet updated that with a fully seamless body and torso, so we will take a look at that. But that's very cool and very kind of funny here that they chose to use the original prototype for the final image of the box art. I kind of wish they would have updated that and put the seamless torso body. If I'm not mistaken, that is the break there for the body. But you can see, as I kick my camera there, you can see the Predator here on a side shot with the biomask. He looks amazing. And then down here again with his blades. So very, very cool. Hot Toys presents the Feral Predator TMS114. So we're gonna crack this bad boy open. Finally, it looks like a huge box. It looks like a big figure. So I'm very, very excited to see the first-hand impression. Oh my goodness, guys. This clamshell is huge and it is heavy. So I know the figure is definitely weighty. This is a double layered clamshell. So you have the accessories down below and the figure up top. We are going to remove the clamshell finally and giving us our first look and first impressions. Oh man, and you guys can smell the fumes from the Hot Toys factory. I don't know about you guys, but that is one thing that I always look forward to when I'm unboxing a new figure. But without further ado, oh my gosh, guys, this thing is just weighty and very, very tall. First-hand impressions are very, very good, guys. This guy has the weight of an Iron Man figure. I kid you not. I do not know what to expect. I didn't know what to expect, but so far, first impressions are very, very awesome. We're going to take the Feral Predator out and all of his accessories and see what you guys get. OMG, guys, just finally seeing this laid out in the light box after all this time on pre-order, you know, after the announcement, it finally hitting home. It is actually surreal that I own my first ever proper Hot Toys Predator. And, you know, the offerings here are not skimp at all. I really love the accessories that they added in. So let's finally dive in. Starting off with the display base, guys. This is an amazing, beautiful environmental display. First off, I'm just going to say I'm kind of in the middle. I do and I don't like diorama display bases. For one, they take up so much space in the collection. But two, they look absolutely beautiful when done right. And this one hits the spot for me, guys. I love the display base. It's not overly bulky and it's beautifully painted and done. So for this, I give Hot Toys a round of applause. It's not super tall, so you don't have to contend with the height in the display base. It's nice and flat, and also it's somewhat compact. You know, it's not super wide. It does take up a lot of space still, don't get me wrong, compared to a rectangular Star Wars or a hexagonal team base that we usually get with our figures. This does it for me, guys, and I really, really love it. Starting off with the bottom of the display base here, you got a beautiful terrain here, and this is a campsite, right? You guys have the earth tones here with all of the sculpting in for the ground here. You got nice earth brown and green tones here for grass, right? You got a lot of sculpt work here. It is very, very rigid and sculpted in. You can feel all the texture here for the ground. And then you got some type of kind of a loincloth or what it would be as a burlap kind of cloth here. And this is also textured. This looks amazing here. You guys have a ton of paint here for the cloth itself. It looks weathered. There's airbrush shading to make that dirtiness come to life. You guys have all the stitching here too, and a couple of loose or torn ends here all the way around. You guys can see it's tattered up. It's not a perfectly nice cloth, and this is where somebody would probably sit and, you know, do things while they're here by the fireplace. And you have a nice log that's sculpted in here, and here as well on the back side you guys can see kind of I'm taking it as another sack, or maybe like a haystack that has this cloth covered on it, or some type of animal pelt covering it. And it is not done perfectly as well. You guys can see some cuts and tears within the cloth itself. And you guys have two arrows here, kind of like, you know, if somebody has attacked the campsite, or, you know, something of that nature, a fight has broken out, and you have two arrows just boom, stuck in here. And these are removable. These are fully sculpted and you know, painted arrows here, and they look very, very nice. You can see the fletchings there on the arrows themselves. These would probably be done in some type of animal feather, some type of bird, right? And for the actual arrow itself, it is just done in a brown paint job, but you guys can even see it's tethered up here for the fletchings themselves. So very, very nicely done. You do get two of them. They are removable. They just peg into the holes here, and you can have them facing either way. I really like the fletchings to be facing out, displaying towards the viewer. And those are even done with a nice wash in the feathers here. So very, very cool. And I have seen a lot of people sticking these into their predators in the backs, kind of like he was attacked. I most likely probably won't do that, just because I don't want to ruin them or ruin the paint job on my predator. But here we have a nice log here that has just been done away, and this is probably where they would do most of the cutting throughout the day. You know, there is a lot of work to be done around the campsite, so you have this broken down log, and it is done beautifully, guys. You guys have a beautiful sculpt for the bark and all of the wood. And you guys can even see kind of round, kind of a design for the wood, as you guys can see that it grows from the inner to the out there. And you guys can see all the paint job here on the inside. It's all dirtied up. For all the cracks and crevices, you have a dark wash for all of that to bring all of that sculpting to life. And you are also given a axe here, and I really love this. It is removable once again, and let's just put this down here so that we can talk about the axe. The sculpting here for the axe head, it's almost like it's an actual stone. You guys can see all the texturing in there, and the paint job for the stone looks very realistic, and that it is banded together here with some type of sinew of some type of animal or something like that, like the Comanche tribe would have done so. The handle here is done very, very exceptionally done as well. You guys have all the grain embedded and sculpted in it for the wood, as you guys can see there, and done very, very nicely. Like I said before, it is removable like the arrows here. And there are deep cuts here, as you guys can see in the wood. And I really love how the sculpt for the wood is even done on the back. Something that you would never see and Hot Toys didn't really have to do. but the inner part of the log is even sculpted as well. And this is all textural, the paint job and everything. You guys can feel it here. And you guys can stick this axe here in one of 3 locations. You guys can stick it on the end, you can stick it in the middle, and you can also do it on the farthest side as well. I have seen people all stick them in multiple ways, so you can also have the axe on this side of the log, if you will. I personally won't do that because the figure will be standing here, so you will be contending with that. Do pay mind that, you know, having it on the back side, though, you are going to be extending the space of the base on the further side, on the outside. So if you have other figures around it, do be mindful of that. You have a beautiful fire here, and it is not ablaze. It is recently put out, but you guys can see the logs here for the fire and all the stone around it. I really love the texture here for the rocks and the stones. They are very, very textural. You can actually feel all the lumpiness to the rocks themselves. As I was messing around here with the base itself, I'm not sure why this is removable. You can remove the logs from the fireplace. As you guys can see, there is a peg and a peg port there. I'm not really sure why you would want to do that, but it is removable if you would want to do so. It does come with a flight pole and a waist clamp here. The body, like I said, is seamless. I don't think it's going to be an issue, so I'm not upset about that whatsoever. And as we lose the log, we are just going to pop that back in there and continue. And next here, we are going to talk about the hands, because the hands look amazing. I really love the way that they look. You get 4 extra hands. I don't think neither of them are pairs, so you just get 4 extra ones, including the ones that come on the figure. But we'll just take a look at one of them for now. Guys, you guys can see all of the detail here for the Predator's skin texture. It is that kind of like scaly, lizardy kind of skin here on the outside, and then it has very, very spiky, sharp claws. I would not want to be grabbed by this guy, but it is done with a nice kind of orangish skin tone, if you will. And you guys have the black lining here on the back of the fingers. You guys can see the wrinkling here on the back of the fingers. Nicely done. And you guys have some speckling here for the pigmentation on the skin texture itself. I love the way that the hands are done. You guys will see this later on the figure, but they are hollowed out really good so that you guys get that full range of motion, and it covers the wrist peg and hides it, making it very seamless. The inside of the hands are also done in a lighter tone here, as you guys can see. We'll do this hand here so you guys can see the inside of the palms are nicely sculpted and textured as well, and a lighter skin tone for the paint job on the inner hand of the palms, and that really works for me. So very, very nice, and I think this looks very authentic to the movie. The hands are very, very stiff, so do be careful with that when you are kind of using the accessories. They're not as soft or malleable as other hands. But moving on here, very, very beautiful. We have the bolt gun, and this bolt gun is magnetically attached. You can put this on the back of the figure's body. I really love it. It looks very ancient. You guys can see all the Yahutin tribes glyphs here all around the handle of the bolt gun itself. It is done in a nice gunmetal and copper tone here, and it has dark washes in all of the sculpting here to bring all the sculpt to life. And you guys can see the trigger down here below. It does come with 2 spears that you can peg into it. Nothing to write home about. You guys can see that there is kind of a silver paint job and a dark smoke gray color wash for the spear itself. It does simply just peg into this hole, and it feels very flimsy, just like the arrowheads. So do be careful when you are inserting them. But there you go. You can have them fully on display, or the bolt gun without the arrows. So very, very cool. And I really, really like that. Next, we are going to go with the cut clamp, and this thing has always been one of my favorite tools that the Predator uses. This thing comes all wound up, and he activates it, and he can use this as another blade, kind of looking like a spinal cord, or he can throw it at you and it'll clamp onto you. So this thing will literally cut through anything in its path. Seriously, it'll cut through metal, wood, bone, flesh, anything, you name it. And this thing is insane, guys. The design for this thing is crazy. You guys can see the little latch down here as where it would be wound up here for the hook at the end that will be kind of clasping around whatever it is attached to. It has a ton of sculpted for the surface here, and it is very, very textural. It looks very, very ancient, and you guys can see all of the surface detail there for the cut clamp. There's actually another cut clamp that is on the figure itself. It is wound up, and I'll show you guys what that looks like. And you guys also get 2 sets of wrist blades here, and these are supposed to go on the wrist gauntlets themselves. These are done in a very soft plastic. I would have liked them to have been die cast, just because it is going to be very, very scary to, you know, insert this onto the figure and not have them break on you. So just do be careful. But the surface is done again in a nice silver gunmetal, as it has a sheen and a dark wash for all of the sculpting, and it brings it to life there. It is modeled kind of like it is kind of forged metal as well. It's kind of not smooth. It has a lump to it. So I really love the way that that looks. And you guys can simply just peg them into the wrist gauntlets on the figure. And next, we are going to take a look at the wrist shield. This thing is amazing, guys. It is actually very, very big. Seeing it in the promotional photos, I didn't think it was going to be this big. For reference, you guys can see it's almost the size of the base itself. But once again, this thing looks very, very, very ancient and lived in, and very, very weathered. It has kind of a rough paint job here all over the surface. You guys can actually feel this. It feels like almost like a sandblasted feel, if you will. This thing in the movie was amazing, though. This was layered, so it kind of actually spun out, as you guys can see. And on the back, there is a peg there to put it on the wrist itself. This thing cut anything as well, and I love the way that the sculpt is. As you guys can see, it's not perfectly flat, as it shouldn't be, as it kind of spins out on itself. When he had it, you know, put away, though, it was just very, very small. It was just one long piece, and then it spun out. So I very love the way that this looks, and I most likely will have this displayed on the figure. But the paint job is incredible. The paint job on this whole figure is incredible, I should say. And we're going to actually take a look at this. This is the biomask, or the bone mask for the feral predator. And this thing was so cool to see for the first time. The predator had this on, and usually we are used to kind of the biomasks being metal, as they were like a helmet and they can fully take it off. This simply just went over the face of the predator, so his environment didn't really deem necessary of him kind of being protected from, you know, the environment that he was in. He was very able to live within the environment, and this just simply went on and off the front of his face. This, I still want to say this is kind of like a turtle shell, but I'm wrong. Every time I look at it, I wouldn't think that it is an actual turtle. So that's just me speculating. I don't know what this is actually made of in the movie, but it is bone for sure. It has kind of sculpted lines all the way through it, and you guys can see kind of red. Maybe that's residual blood from whatever animal that he has, you know, carved this from. And down here on the snout, you guys can see for the face, this looks very, very cool. And there's kind of like a grayish dark wash and a red here for more blood. But you guys also have the tracker here on the side. Very, very iconic for the predator. And back here, up along around the face, there is some metal workings there. So I really do love that. You guys can even see rivets all in the sculpt there. Very, very cool. If you're asking yourself, why is there a cable dangling from this? Well, this does have an LED light up function for the tracker here. You can see here there is a foam pad to protect the paint job on the sculpt, and you guys can even see that it's painted and sculpted within, something that you would never see, but Hot Toys goes the extra mile to do that for us. So this simply has a cable. It goes around the back of the figure and it plugs in to the backpack, as you guys will see that later. So I really love the way that this looks. Next, we have a wide array of the combi stick. So we're first going to take a look at the collapsed version of the combi stick. And this thing is one piece. It looks very awesome. You guys can see, you know, the Yehutin design here for the handle, and it is done once again in a nice gunmetal and copper colorway. You guys have this kind of mace or club end to it, and this looks very, very scary. I would not want to get hit with this. It has a ton of surface texture here. For the metal, it is nice and sculpted and has a beautiful paint job. It has kind of like a copperish hue to it as well when you kind of play with it in the light. It is not just a flat gunmetal. There is kind of some copper within that paint job. And here, very, very sharp on the end, so do be careful. This is the blade, the collapsed blade here, and it has two teeth here as well. And the end, I love how it's painted kind of in a lighter silver there, kind of insinuating the sharpness of the blade. But when you move on to here, you have the extended parts of the combi stick. So now you have the fully extended blade here. As you guys can see, you have more of a dark wash here within the sculpt as well, just bringing it to life, just showing more and more texture all the way through the blade itself. And then you have the handle down here. If you're asking yourself, why are there multiple pieces for the combi stick? And we're going to get to that here. You can see here the mace is also extended here now, and more texture here all over, and I really love this. So, as you guys can see now, you have two ends. You can either have him holding it collapsed like this in one hand, holding both of these in two hands. These are both handheld. Or you can use this. And this is going to allow you to use the combi stick with the fully extended pieces. So now what you would do is you would slide this off. Simply has a peg on either end. You want to slide this in very, very carefully. Just take your time. It can be very stiff right out of the box. And as well, we'll put this down real quick. Grab the blade end of the combi stick. Pull the handle off of that. Flip it around. Pop it in like so. Once again, be careful because it's very, very stiff. And now, as you guys can see, you have a fully extended combi stick, and that is huge, guys. It's super, super huge. It takes up a ton of space in the display. This is very long, but it is very cool, and this might be the way that I display my Predator, just because you want him to be very, very scary, and his weapons will have you do that. So now that we have taken a look at all of the accessories and all the switch out pieces, we're finally gonna take a look at the Feral Predator. Holy crap, guys, this figure is freaking insane. I cannot wait to finally get in depth with you guys on this figure. We're going to take a closer look from top to bottom. Let's start off with the head sculpt and the upper body, and we'll get down throughout the figure because there's so much detail here to see. But this guy is freaking ugly, guys. This is one ugly MFer. Now, oh man, this thing is super heavy. It's super bulky, guys. I wish you guys could feel this figure right now. But when you guys get your copy in hand, let me know. Drop a comment down below. But let's take a look at the figure up close here on the head sculpt. Starting off here, we have the biomask because this is how we seen the Predator in the film for the most part, until he finally revealed himself and showed his face to us. Now, there are a couple party pieces here with the biomask, as it is an LED light up feature here. But for the paint application on the head sculpt here on the biomask, it is so authentic, guys. You guys can see that this thing is lived in and weathered in. Now, like I mentioned before, you do have an LED light up feature here, and if you guys can see around, there is a small cable, but I love the way that it blends in here. You can get it to blend in here with the dreads here, so I have no issues with that whatsoever, because you're probably never going to see it there like that. But you guys have the dreads here on the back. These are all punched into the head sculpt themselves by 3 here, as you guys can see there for that one. But these guys are made of like a rubbery kind of like material, and they're very, very thin. They're thinner than the previous dreads that were on the previous Predator figures that Hot Toys has made. Granted, the design of this character and the design of this Predator is very different from all the other Predators that we're known and seeing, like the Wolf Predator and all of that. Notice that his skin is a lot drier, scalier, and not so wet. And that is due to the environment that this Predator has lived in. He is probably coming from a hotter Yahutan area on the planet Yahuta. So that is why he has kind of this deeper, scalier skin texture compared to these older Predators that were kind of, you know, more wet and, you know, gross like looking. Their skin was all moist and stuff like that. And I've done my research on that because I wanted to make sure that, you know, I had the right information. Shout out to Connor over there at Hot Toys Hotline. A lot of the guys, including myself, like to call him the Predator god, if you will, in the community, because he knows so much, you know, about the Predators himself. And I'm not going to boast and say that I do. So I had to do my research and figure it out for myself. But from what I've seen, they say that he comes from a much hotter climate. So that is why he has the scalier skin. That is why his biomask is not completely covering his face and keeping him surrounded from the outside elements. He was in, you know, kind of, you know, that climate around the Comanche tribe where he was able to, you know, survive in. So very, very cool. And also another thing before we move forward, the color tone of his blood actually is a lot less green compared, or less translucent or vibrant green from the other predators that we've seen in the past, and that plays a big part in that as well. But yeah, let's pop this in here. As you guys can see, we're going to remove his head sculpt here, or his biomask, if I should say. And it is done magnetically here, and there is the reveal for the face sculpt. Tell me, guys, this guy is not ugly, you know? I'm going to pop this off here on the back here on the backpack, just so we can set this down and not have it dangling the whole time, and then we'll pop it back in for you guys. So here is the head sculpt for the Predator. He has all these kind of like air holes here, you know, kind of where he would be taking in air and breathing, but he is freaking ugly, guys. You guys can see that you have the yellow eyes there, and they are painted very beautifully. You guys have his mouth here and the open mandibles. These are the one set of mandibles that you get, and the other ones are the screaming or the open mandibles, which I really do like. And I didn't know how I was going to display him, and I had it in my mind that I knew that I was going to display him with the open mandibles, but now that I see him with the biomask on, it's very hard to not display him like that. But he looks so sick, guys. It has kind of like this very nasty, gruesome skin texture all over. It looks very, very disgusting. You guys can see up here in the front here, he has very, very deep kind of like, you know, kind of like gills, if you will, as if he was breathing, you know, through his head here. And you guys have that elongated, you know, forehead. So I really, really love that. These kind of hair pieces here, these quills is what I like to call them here, and on the upper above the pecs here, those are punched in as well, but they're kind of like a thicker plastic, so do be careful. You do not want to break those off at all. But the mouth looks very cool. You guys can see the teeth there as well. But I just wanted to show you guys what he looked like. So the LED port here for the mask goes here plugged into his backpack, which is done very nicely as well. This is fixed onto the body, so do not try to remove this. It does have a little bit of flex, but I wouldn't go any further than that. And as you guys can see there, the LED is built right into that, and it is very cool. You can pop that back in there. Very cool, simple, you know, and there is a little kind of like a little chamber right here that the cable can stick out, and you can put this back on. You don't even have to leave it off. So I really like the way they did that. But the paint applications here are done very nicely. The sculpting is done very nicely. You have kind of those deep gunmetal-y copper tones here for the backpack, and it looks very, very extraterrestrial and something that is not from this earth. So I really love the way that they have done that. You guys can even see some Yehutin hieroglyphs here, there, all around the backpack and throughout the whole figure himself. But without further ado, let's pop that back on. So what you're going to want to do is pop. Yep, I dropped it. I did that live. And we're not going to cut that out. We're going to just keep it pushing. You're going to pop the biomask back on very carefully, not like I did. And you're going to want to plug that in here to there. So we're going to do that here very quickly. It's very hard to do on camera, so I'm not going to attempt. But I want to show you guys. You do have the USB-C port down here below as well. I'm not sure if you guys can see there on the bottom of the backpack. And the biomask doesn't have a very strong magnet in it, so that is why I'm kind of contending with that. We're gonna plug this in here down below and give it a little plug, right? Give it power, give it some juice here. 1 second. And can I get it? Can I get it? There we go. And now we're going to turn it on. And there you guys go. Check this out. Tell me that doesn't look amazing. You guys can now see that the lights are lit up there for the tracker. I rarely do accessories like this, but that is how good this figure is for me, that I wanted to show you guys all of it. So yeah, that is how you guys do that. Very, very cool. And now we're going to turn that off here and continue and remove the biomask now. And let's continue on and change the mandibles and look at the rest of the figure here with the accessories. So we're going to pop this bad boy back in here like so. And now, taking a look at the upper torso, guys, this thing was, you know, done very, very nicely. At the beginning on the announcement here, there was a break here in the body. This was supposed to be a joint, a visible joint, and they have now moved forward with that and gave us a seamless style body. So this is all rubber here, as you guys can see, and hopefully they continue to do that with future Predator figures as well and not go backwards. But very, very cool. You guys can pull the joints out here, kind of like Iron Man figures, for the shoulders to get a little bit more rotation, as you guys can see, or you guys can tuck that back in like so if you want. But yeah, you guys can see all the scars here. You can see the paint application here. It's lighter here around his abs, and it really works for me. But look at this, guys. Look at this. His gauntlets look very cool. They look more bone as well. Even on the inside, you guys can see the wrapping there as well. Very, very nice. I love the way that this figure looks. Back here, very sick as well. On the back of his skirt here, which this skirt is explained to be a lamellar style armor. So that just means that it is layered kind of like that. And then you guys kind of have like the fabric, tattered fabric behind that as well. So very, very cool. The upper torso is one whole piece. So there's like very little articulation, but I noticed that I haven't seen from other YouTubers. There's like an elevating articulation piece there for the waist. So you can kind of lift his upper torso, which I thought that was very, very cool. But you guys can see here for the wrist blades, they just peg in there like that, and those look very sick as well. So I really like the way that looks. I never even noticed that here as well. There's kind of like an animal's kind of spine here attached here to the bottom of the gauntlet. So that's very cool. You guys have more glyphs here baked into this kind of like bone kind of piece there on the gauntlet. The hands look very cool. I love how the hands look very seamless, right? You can barely even see that there's a wrist peg there. So I really love the way that they did that. This piece as well also pops out here, as if we can do this, you know, on camera like so. As you guys can see, this piece pops off, and then that gives you the opportunity to plug in this right here. So then now you can put the shield on him. And guys, look at that. Look at the way that that looks. Tell me that this guy doesn't look like $1 million bucks. It looks amazing. Like, I really love it with the shield. I'll probably have him with the shield and then, you know, holding some other weapons. But very, very cool the way that that just pegs in there like so. So I am really digging this. Down here below, guys, as you guys can see for the legs, all the joints here are done very nicely. The elbows are very strong ratchets here. And the shoulders, like I said, they pop out like Iron Man ones. The legs do drop down as well, like Iron Man ones here too. As you guys can see, that just dropped down, and now one leg is lower, just giving you a little bit more range of articulation there. His legs, very, very clicky, strong ratchets there as well. And the kneecaps go over the legs as well to kind of make it a lot more seamless. His feet drop down as well, so you guys can extend these down a little bit just to get a little bit more range of motion. But yeah, let's show you what the ab crunch looks like. The ab crunch looks very cool. You get like 2 clicks out of there. I think there might be even another one, but I'm not gonna push it. Yeah, you got 3 there like that. So that looks very, very nice as well. You can get a ton of range with this guy. So very, very cool. And I love that it's very sturdy ratchets, guys. I'm very happy with that. But yeah, let's kind of put him through a couple poses and see what you guys think about the figure. I really love the way this guy looks. You guys have more of his kills here on the back, like I was going to show you guys. He has, you know, a couple of animals that he's stalked out and he's moving up. He did the grizzly bear, he did these guys, and then he went to humans ultimately. And then here's the cut clamp that's wound up here, as you guys can see. So this is the cut clamp accessory, but in its round up state. So this is before he uses it, and then he would pull it out and then throw it like a disc like that, and then it'll go out, or he can, you know, use it as a blade as well. So very, very cool. No complaints whatsoever. And yeah, let's do some poses and see what you guys think. Alright guys, well, there you have it. We are going to wrap this video up, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video as much as I did making it. It was a blast unboxing and reviewing this figure and putting it through its paces, because it is a very forgiving figure when it comes to posing. There's so much that you guys can do. This figure has so much range. I hope you guys enjoy your copy when you guys get it in hand. This is probably how he's going to be in the display, at least for now. But if you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like, comment on the video, and if you guys have not already, please do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. I hope you guys are here in the future as we keep on unboxing more hot toys and collectibles on this channel. Once again, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.